Start the recording. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us today. We are very excited to have Jackson Kaguri here. Jackson is one of the greatest humanitarians that we are connected with. Over 20 years ago now, right, Jackson? Jackson started an organization called NYACA. And it's a very powerful, very comprehensive organization in Southwest rural Uganda. And so, we wanted the Jackson to have the opportunity to share his story with even more people. Our partnership between Team and NYACA is very strong. Our students have really gotten to connect with the students from Uganda, despite them being, thousands of miles away. And something really simple as a letter writing exchange has become really exciting for the students. And towards the end we can talk a little bit more about what that actually looks like, and we can actually show you some examples. It's really beautiful what the students in Uganda and the students here in New Jersey have been doing to connect with one another. So at this point, we just wanted to welcome Jackson and have him share a little bit more about his story. As he said before, a few of you signed on, he's stuck bringing some kids to and from where they need to be. But we're at a day and age where we're able to still do this over the phone. So with that, Jarrett, is there anything that you'd like to say to
You
introduce
know,
Jackson?
I think the it's a fantastic model because you know NYACA supports impoverished people, but within supporting impoverished people, they support one generation supporting another generation, in which there's mutual benefit for both people who are young and people who are not so young. And I'm sure Jackson will go into that, but it's like I almost think of it as dignity squared. So with that in mind, I'll leave it to you, Jackson. We're just so proud and honored to be partnering with you.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Taya. Tim has been an amazing partner with us. We go way back from time when Dan was still here. I met Dan at a conference in New York, and we had just shown a video called Victors, which was documenting children who were sexually assaulted while they are going to school. And we had just launched a program that addresses that. And since then, we have formed a strong partnership, worked with several schools. I've traveled back and forth to New Jersey. I've spoken to different schools, and we appreciate and value the partnership that we have created, and most importantly, the lives that have been changed on the ground. In addition to schools raising money, we have received computers so our children can work on their technology with AI and technology going now. For a tiny village like Nyaka to be able to connect to the world the way we are connecting now, it would not have been possible without your support. Ted, thank you for organizing and inviting me. Again, to everybody who joined us, please, I apologize for taking this in the car. I was tempted to drive back and get in Wi-Fi. Then I got scared I might even get in spots where you can't hear me completely. So I'm going to stay stationed here. And my kids are inside here doing some conditioning. 30 minutes if I go home and back, I might even miss some time that we could have spent together. So thank you for inviting me. I will start with a little background. Some of you have heard this background about Nyaka. Then I will talk a little bit about programming, what we do, and how we do it. I will touch a little bit on our holistic nature of work. And tomorrow being Women's Day, I want to give a special shout out during this conversation to all the women who back all of us. We are here because of women, but specifically to Nyaka women who work every single day so the children we take care of can become global citizens of this world. So Nyaka started 23 years ago in 2001. I started this in a small, tiny village where I was born and raised. And my thing was, as a child, I saw a lot of injustice growing up, inequality growing up. I didn't know the words, what they meant at that time, but I could see that sometimes I had what my friends needed and couldn't get. And most of it was because of financial inequality. Not to say that my parents were wealthy. My parents never went to school. My mom and dad never went to school. I encourage many of you to go back after this presentation and look at Nyaka website and look on Nyaka YouTube with lots of videos. I talk about my parents being so poor, they would buy one pencil for 5 children and break it in 5 pieces. And each one of us walking to school back and forth for 7.5 miles is how we got education. But I could see that the other kids who didn't have that pencil or whose parents never figured out they can break one pencil ended up not getting education. And not getting education for them meant they would have to go work labor for other people. Girls would be taken to the cities to work as house help, where they would end up being raped and pregnant, or forced into becoming prostitutes in the towns. The ones who stayed either worked for others were mistreated, and you can imagine when you are working with that person to school and your friend is there working for barely nothing so they can eat and survive. So kudos to mom and dad who figured out how to do it. I got my education quickly and went through the process of education, high school uh, degree in Uganda, and got a scholarship from Columbia University in New York, right next to New Jersey. It was at Columbia University where you started learning about human rights and human rights, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And that education all this time was a right that every human being had. And healthcare is the right that we all had, and started piecing together the difference between economic and social and political rights. All this time I had heard the word human rights and I thought civil and political rights, right to vote. Constitutions always involved and emphasized that. So the moment I started learning that, I'm still battling on what can I do in my village. My oldest brother died of HIV/AIDS. Those were the years where HIV/AIDS was rampant in sub-Saharan Africa. It's still there. It's not as rampant as it used to be. But because of the death of many men and women between the ages of 15 and 49, a whole generation was wiped out. And here were older women and older men who had already raised their children, like my parents, sold everything they had, educated their children, because even the people who don't have education in my village, they knew once they send a child to school, a child will break the cycle of poverty and deprivation. Don't ask me how they found out. Were a few examples. And second, when they educated the child, this child will come back and care for the elder. Because in Uganda, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have retirement homes that when your parents get older, you can send them for somebody to watch them. Even if they were there, people would not afford to do it because it would be expensive to do. So parents go live with their children. Now that generation of people who parents could have lived with were completely wiped out, and children now are being pushed back to their grandparents to be raised in an environment where grandparents were already completely wiped out, assets sold, no goats, no cows, no chickens. That's how I got my education. Parents sold chickens and goats and eventually land. So when my brother passed away, I took responsibility, youngest boy in the family, but because of that patriarchal methods that we are still fighting to get rid of, a boy child always had an opportunity to go to school better than the girl child. But because you are a boy also, when there are orphans in the family, you are the one who will take responsibility to care for the orphans in the family. So I inherited basically, happily, gracefully, I inherited my brother's children and started educating them. But while I was educating my blood relatives, I saw another generation of children, their age or older, younger, who didn't have an opportunity to get education. So I took $5,000 I had saved to buy a house here in the United States and bought land from my father and built a two-room school. And when I speak to teachers who are in these classrooms and high schools that look like universities, two-room school is how I started. No windows, no shutters, no cement, no paint on the walls. And I went to a teacher who had taught me in elementary school and begged her to come and take care of the children we recruited. The first biggest issue was when we opened this school, I thought we would take every orphan in the area and put them in school. When we did this assessment, we found out there were 5,000 children who were orphaned and not going to school. There are more, but the 5,000 were not going. And we needed to only start with 30 students in one classroom. Immediately, we changed our strategy and started with two classrooms. And from now, I'm going to tell you what happened then and what is happening now. Those two classrooms, ladies and gentlemen, we started with, those children have now graduated university. We made a commitment and educated them from elementary school, which is P1, called primary school, secondary school, high school, university, and now these are working men and women married with children. Some are teachers. Ted, you would love to hear this, and all the teachers who are here. We have several teachers, majority are teachers, and some are teaching in our schools. Since that time of two schools, we have built 3 other schools. We built another school 50 miles away, which would be the ones wearing green uniforms called Kutamba. We built Nyaka, which is the purple uniform where the original one was. And then we built a secondary, which is also secondary and vocational secondary school. We have graduated 369 graduates who are out working in Uganda and around the world. 65% of those are women. Taylor, that's when we would clap really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
The girls who have graduated, ladies and gentlemen, are not only teachers. We have catering, we have business women, we have a lawyer who's working with a bank, we have a doctor, a young man who is a doctor working in a hospital in Uganda. We have a human resource manager who is in Canada. We have a financial advisor who is in Dubai. And most importantly, we have Dennis, who is the collaborator between, is the gap between team, all the schools we work with, and Nyaka. Dennis studied accounting. He had an offer to go and work for a financial services company in the city of Kampala. He said, I want to go back and serve in Nyaka organization. Technology is good. Finances is good. I mean, he's an all-around person who is
Dennis
doing
is
so much work.
awesome. Dennis is great.
Dennis is awesome. So Dennis is one of the pioneers. So whenever I'm speaking to teachers to see what we've done and where we can go, Dennis is one of those examples. Hilary, who is the doctor, is one of the examples. Sarah, who is a lawyer, is one of the examples. And then we have other pioneer students who are doing different things, business people. That's today we had a New York supporter who wanted to talk to children at the secondary school, and Dennis set up a Google Meet, and this supporter was able to speak to the entire classroom. He's a mechanical engineer, and he's encouraging kids to study things that they can get a job immediately after. One of the things that is unique that we have done within the organization is to put mentors with the children. You are a teacher and we have a child who wants to be a teacher, we ask them to ask you questions so you can lead them on what they want to look at. Apart from education, we also realized earlier on we cannot just focus on education alone in classroom. We needed extra curricular activities. Our kids get from the young age to learn how to grow food, how to make food. We serve 2 meals a day for these children. Those are the 2 meals they get in 24 hours. We surrounded them with clean water systems. We worked with partners around the world, Rotary clubs around the world in building clean water systems to help women reduce the miles they have to walk every day, but also to get clean drinkable water for children so they don't have to do those chores. We surrounded them with libraries. I'm looking at Garrett's library in the background. We have two strong community libraries with books from kindergarten, playroom. This is in a village setting, internet setting, all the way to the high school and university textbooks. The teachers who teach in these communities, or you teachers, don't have textbooks. Most of the time, a teacher does not have a textbook to teach mathematics in level 7 of education. They come to our library, prepare their lessons, and go teach in the schools where they teach. So we are not just an organization that serves our children and community. We extend our services to the entire community so we can get mileage in every dollar that is spent in this community. We have a farm, so we teach our kids how to grow food. Some of the mathematical equations they do is getting eggplants in a classroom, add them, divide them, subtract them, then eat them. So they eat their mathematics, and you will meet kids in the way going home singing the math, singing the alphabet in things they can touch and learn with. Now, I'm not an educator, I'm not a teacher, but the knowledge I have gained living in this community and also visiting schools around, I take ideas from each school I visit. I share them with our teachers so they can improve the education component for our children. But what has made even a more impact for these children, remember they are orphans when we started, most of them were orphans. I went door to door and asked women in the community. Whenever I say women, people wonder where we are the men. Early in the morning in a community setting like ours, men will wake up and go to look for money or work somewhere or go tend their goats and sheep and cows. Women always work near their homes in small gardens. I was in Uganda. It took a time to go and walk to home, one home at a time. Ask the women who were surrounding our schools if they can become foster parents, basically, of the children coming to our schools. I walked 7.5 miles back and forth each day to go to school. I knew how hard it was for me as a young boy. And when we admitted our students, some were walking even more, 10, 15. So those who were working further, I went house to house. And as an organization, we made a collaboration partnership with these women to live with the children Monday to Friday, kind of like a boarding school. Then in the evening, on the evening of Friday, they would be escorted to go back to their grandmother where they are born and raised. These women started asking too many questions that I didn't have answers for. So I said, you know what? Once a month, all the women who are hosting our children can meet and talk about these issues. Then we'll answer them all at once. Ladies and gentlemen, that program of 10 women is what ended up becoming the grandmothers program. Grandmothers, not because they are too old, grandmothers because they are respectable and they are caring enough to take in other children. In Uganda context, being called a grandmother is an honor. I do understand in the United States, it means you are older and you need to be in retirement. So I've had to go back and explain this. These women started meeting. In their meetings, they would come with their own like hand handwork. If they are making a mat, they come with their palms and they are making mats. Somebody else would be making a basket. Somebody would be making a bracelet. And our staff members started observing there's some creativity within these women. So we asked them as an organization, how can we be of help to even increase your capacity and productivity in whatever you are doing? That program has led us into starting a microfinance program. We started giving women, we called it Nyaka funds, Nyaka revolving fund. We would take $20, give it to one woman who knows how to make mats, to make more mats. Then we would buy the mats from the woman. Then we'll ask her if she can train other women. That was then. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are working with 20,000 women in 3 districts, which would be counties, 3 counties. And these women, to become part of grandmothers, they have to be staying with children, theirs or the ones that are not related to them, adopted children. So within these 20,000 women, we are raising 88,000 children who are all within the women homes. And even better, every single one of those women are an entrepreneur. If you are in the area where we work and you want to buy eggs, we have women who grow eggs, and they will have 100 eggs that you are looking for. If you want to buy coffee beans, and now we are going to go into processing this coffee, we are creating corporations where women can serve you this coffee. Now they have shops. Now they have motorcycles. Now they make uniforms. Now they make dresses. We have created an enterprise within these women supporting themselves and also support the children. Now I know that is a lot of, you have education, you have clean water, we also have a clinic, we also have libraries. It takes you in so many directions. But the success of the students we educate in our schools is dependent on these many different services. When they leave school, they have a woman to go to at the house, and man, now some of the men are there. When they want to read a book, they have an older student who is ready to mentor them. When they want to expand their knowledge, they have Mountain Lake High School in New Jersey. They can write a letter to. So even the ones who are thinking my English is not great, writing a letter to somebody else and telling about their story helps them to develop that story. So we have created a community holistic based program and has helped a village to become a city. In fact, they were all petitioning saying we should not call it Nyaka village anymore, that my books cannot be called a school for my village and victory for my village, that we need to call them now a school for my city, success for my for my city, instead of, because now beyond the services we provide, we employ 120 people. Each of these families, ladies and gentlemen, have a good living salary. They are able to be on health insurance that we provide through an organization. So there is an economic powerhouse also that has developed. These 120 people are also investing in different businesses. Since we met and started working with the team, we've had different fundraisers at different schools. We've had different campaigns. We've participated in the annual gathering that we put on at Lampoa College. We have been able to meet with other people other organizations that are supported by team. We've been featured on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Our students get to see themselves. Remember, we have adults now who can go on social media, and we've been able to increase capacity in what we do and how we deliver. Something we are still working on that we haven't completely done is to start business competitions within our students. So in 2024, we are going to launch as an organization what we call Nyaka Enterprises. We want the grandmothers, remember the grandmothers are the business owners, but they're also aging and have limited time. They have raised superstars in children who are using technology, who have skipped the computer use to iPhone and now create apps. We want these children to embrace technology and launch businesses of their own. As they do their own businesses, we will have the fun of young ones to see what the older ones are doing and also follow in their footsteps. Last year, we opened our own microfinance bank because the women who are already doing the business, some of them want to continue and invest more. They came to us and said, we could borrow money and pay our loans on a special business side of Nyaka, not the NGO side. So we are running a social impact now with the microfinance bank, which launched in May 2023. As of December 2023, we had 600 accounts opened. As of yesterday, 720. When they get to 1,000, we are going to digitize this small bank. We will require all our employees to open an account. We will, because they can open it from far or near, and we will have our own graduate students and working people to bank within Nyaka. The alumni already give back to the community, so we have a sustainable model that will continue to support this community now and always. How it all started, a fifth of a pencil, a dream to help children that has embedded the entire community to come together to serve it for now and always. So that's the work that we are doing in Nyaka, centered on holistic approach, embedded in a community, trusted for 23 years, and continuing to grow. I've told our staff members, which I will also say here, we've built the hardware that you need. The buildings are paid for. All the land where we operate is paid for. We don't have a single loan. Now I would like them to start putting in the software. What businesses can you do on weekends? How can we teach more kids after school when the ones in the classroom go home? 5 to 9 p.m. We have electricity, we have solar power. How can we get more? How can we teach adult classes on the computers that you have provided so they can learn business skills they need to learn? How can we continue to help technology grow, use technology combined with traditional grandmother's baskets and create a website where you can click from New Jersey and order something. I haven't figured out how we will get it shipped to you from Uganda, but that also will come. So with your partnership team, we have been able to grow bigger, to grow stronger, and now we are also going to grow in depth while we serve the children that are born on the side of what Garrett said earlier. They are born on the side of no money, no economy, but Nyaka is building that economy for them. And with technology, they're able to see what is possible around the world and embrace it and run with it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jackson. And what I can do is pull up a couple pictures since you're on your phone. So we can actually share some of the things that the students have done. So I'll start here where in Mountain Lakes at Briarcliff Middle School, we had students that created care packages for the students that they are sponsoring in Uganda. So we have a few photos of the students in Uganda receiving these packages.
Yes.
It did like it was like Valentine's Day theme. It was so great.
Yes, and that is the secondary school uniform right there.
Yes. Yes. And so we have, just some photos of the students receiving their care packages. which is, just really beautiful. They sent over some shirts that they had from a sale last year. And these are middle school kids doing this. And one of their
Yes.
teachers who's just, awesome. And I can't find the one picture. I have to clean up my Dropbox. There's a picture of the baskets that the grandmothers in Uganda made with the Mountain Lakes logo. Like that was a huge
Yes.
huge hit and a cool way to like start the connections between the two communities. And Dennis actually, I think it was just yesterday, sent us some of the letters that the students wrote. So these are actually written by the students in Uganda that the Mountain Lake students are paired with, and that they support and sponsor so they can continue to go to school. And so you can see, like, we're trying to keep it really personalized without having to worry about shipping snail mail letters. And this is now the third exchange that they've had. So and they've like drawn some pictures, and it's it's a really cool way for the students to be able to connect with one another. And then we have the students in New Jersey that are reading these letters. We have great pictures of those, so it's a really beautiful connection. And like you said, how team is helping Nyaka grow, Nyaka is helping team grow, where we can offer these types of experiences for our students. Where when are they ever going to be able to have connections like this with people across the world? So it's been
Yes.
a really beautiful project that our students have engaged in with the students over in Nyaka.
Thank you, Taya. And that is mostly what you've seen is secondary school, middle school. And thank you for reminding me the Mountain Lakes. When we met 1 year, Daryl comes to me and goes, "I like those baskets," because I had brought the baskets for giveaway. And I told him what one time we had done before COVID with Michigan State University.
Mm-hmm.
I live near Michigan State University. Their color is green and white. So I had gone to the president one time and I said, "Our grandmothers make baskets. They can make them in green and white, and they can even put MSU." And she couldn't believe it because she knew that grandmothers we work with cannot speak and say a word in English. But when we gave that challenge to the grandmothers and wrote to them, they made baskets. And these baskets are made needle, thread, needle by needle. They made those baskets, and when Daryl saw them, Mountain Lake ordered 250 baskets.
Mm-hmm.
We brought them back in a suitcase, brought them to Mountain Lake, and the kids sold them for as a fundraiser. But ML was there. Some was not as clean as should be, but the grandmothers did a good job doing that. So you can see that connection we can make community to community.
Yes.
But for you teachers also, what we really would like your students to understand and know, these children are similar to them in every way possible. Their dreams and aspirations are the same, whether that child is in New Jersey or is in Nyaka village. Their wanting to be liked is the same. The kids, the girls will hang out with girls, boys will hang out with boys. They will talk about each other. They want to play sports. They want to sweat and run. They want to come back and really be loved and cared for just like any other child around the world. And when you make that bridge connection, sometimes what we are going through, just like I'm taking this call because I have to take my kids to conditioning. When I take them to Uganda and they are looking for that conditioning, guess what they are doing? They are running out in the grass, pouring, playing soccer in the dust. They don't have all the soccer fields they have here, and they have different appreciation of what they have. I always tell your students, when I tell you that a cup of coffee here for $5 will feed a child for a whole week in Uganda, I am not saying don't drink your coffee. I'm saying drink your coffee, enjoy it, but be aware what also can do. So next time a child has a birthday and come to me and say, instead of that iPad you're going to get me in addition to the one I have, maybe I can donate $300 of it for a child to go to school for a whole year. It starts making sense. And then I'm excited that team is organizing a trip to Uganda because I can sit here and tell you, I can bring the PowerPoints, you can read all the books, but to get in a community and eat the food they eat, breathe the air they breathe, walk the walk they do, even if it is for 2 days, it transforms your life forever. Those who have done it, you already know I'm preaching to the choir. But your students finishing high school, need a gap year, can do that. As long as you're 18, you don't need to have a guardian come with you. We have good security. We have a guest house. Our teachers have hosted guests from United States and from all over the world for 20 years. And this is something I did intentionally. I built a guest house before I finished even building the classrooms. And this was to bring experiences from guests and supporters who want to come and volunteer, but also want to come and see it themselves. Then, when they write that check, they know where it is going and what it's going to do. And we have continued to be good stewards of your resources, and we continue to do that. Audited accounts are available, guide stars ratings are there. A team in the United States has gone a little bit smaller. Last year we had a tough year, but what we didn't do is touch any single program in Uganda. The children are going to school, the grandmothers are doing their businesses, and now with more enterprises, we'll be able to support more work and generate more resources within the community, focusing on consumables they are already consuming, things they're already spending money on. Is what those are the business we'll go in. We want to be the money sharks who go and rip off the rugs under their feet. Instead, we'll put more rugs under their feet so they can grow higher and higher and continue to support their own.
Yeah.
So now I can take all the questions you have
Yeah, I wanted to share
for
one
the
more picture
remaining of the time.
that I think people would like to see. So one of the campaigns that one of the schools did was they created I run videos where the students actually said, instead of running for new shoes or setting to run to raise enough money to buy them the next iPad, the students ran for the students in Uganda. And then, so they put together a beautiful video campaign. We shared them with the students in Uganda. And then when it was over, they had this, we ran for, and they named all the students that they were supporting. So there's really, really beautiful connections between, the schools in our Uganda pod. And, as we continue to grow, we're excited to be able to have them, learn from these students, because it's really tremendous, the work, and the connections between the two countries, and the two groups of students. So I just wanted to share one other photo.
Thank you.
We definitely offer both schools on both sides of the ocean. We offer engagement, we offer empowerment, and we offer hope. And it's a teaching lesson that is multi-sided. So we're just so honored and proud to be partnering with you, and we just want more schools to be part of this process.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And then we are recommending team to our supporters. I think Taylor, you got a conversation going with our Philadelphia supporters, looking at a school there. I've been pushing for schools right here around us in Michigan, and we want to get as many schools involved as possible. If it was up to me, every high school student would get to know about this opportunity, not just for Nyaka, but also for all the pods you are supporting around the world. Because children also have different things that appeal to them. Could be water, could be taking care of horses, could be anything. As long as we can get them to follow that dream and get something done transformational while they're in high school, so they don't have to wait and say, what do I write on my essay? They have something to write on their essay as they are going into college. They have something they can do while they are in college, and internships open they can do while they are in college and follow through into their adulthood.
Mhm. Yes. So at this time, like Jackson said before, do we have any questions for him? Questions about his experiences, about Nyaka, about the connections between our schools? Are there any questions that he can answer?
I have a question if no one else does.
Go for it.
Well, first of all, Jackson, thank you so much for sharing with us. And it's such an inspirational story. And I'm just blown away by the impact that Nyaka has had in the community. It's really inspirational. But I guess my question deals with as teachers here on, we're teachers that are team teachers and we have students that really want to make a difference.
Yes.
Do you have any tips or suggestions for us as teachers to really empower our own students to be effective social entrepreneurs? How would you encourage them to really take that next step?
Yes, Ted, I have a lot of ideas. First of all, I'll make them read A School for My Village. It's written by some guy, I can't remember his last name. I'm kidding. Really, when A School for My Village, you can understand children now don't read the entire book, but it's one book I have spoken in middle school and high school. And children come to me and say, I have not read a book cover to cover unless it was for class. This was the first book I read. I wrote that book in such a way that even a second grader can read it. It does mention HIV and AIDS, but does not go into any graphics of anything. So I would recommend just find a chapter, photocopy some pages, give them to your students to read, and then they can always engage with us. Number two, I tell students, especially in high school, that college does not does not any longer just go for a 4.0 GPA. They want to know about your community engagement, your leadership, your volunteerism. Sometimes that's what separates your application to go to Harvard rather than go to your state college if you want to go to Harvard. I spent a year at Harvard last year. So I know some of these admissions. Number three, we are so endowed with lots of opportunities in this country. If you cannot read and write and you can't afford a computer, you can walk to a public library anytime, any day in many communities. I've heard now why I say that. I was in Maine last year and somebody told me there are some rural schools in Maine that don't have connectivity. Kids have to go to McDonald's to get Wi-Fi to do their homework. Now that's a shame to be happening in this country with all the resources we have. But in majority of the communities, you are in New York, you are poor, you can't afford a computer, you can walk to New York Library and get on a computer and get there. That's not something a child in my village can ever access. You cannot go to a library anywhere unless you go to the Nyaka one. But if you live 100 miles away from that library, you are not going to walk 100 miles to go read a book and go back. So appreciation for what they have, gratitude. There's lots of bullying in schools. There's lots of picking on each other, and children are looking for a purpose. What's my purpose in life? Tim brings that purpose right front and center. Rather than always looking on your Instagram every minute, how many have liked me, how many have the same thing. You can be writing a letter to somebody that will change their life completely. Just words on paper. And then something else other students did, I think it was Bergen High School, they did video games. My children play video games. So finding things they already like rather than thinking, oh, I have to go do a fundraiser for this organization in Africa. I don't want to do it. Yeah. What do you like to do? I like to play video games. Why don't you get 5 other buddies? Do video games. Each time one wins, they throw in $2. McDonald's, just pass McDonald's on Tuesday for one burger. And if they have 5 children, they raise $10. Then when they know the value that is attached to that and what will do the other side of the continent, it will completely change their trajectory on how they are doing things. One thing that we also really, really don't talk about a lot, our children are grateful for what they get. They are grateful whether they receive a phone call, whether they receive a pair of shoes. There's no child who's going to receive a pair of shoes and go, "Oh, I wanted Michael Jordans, and now you gave me Adidas. I don't like them." They will take that pair, they treasure it. So the satisfaction a giver from New Jersey gets by just writing a letter or sending a used phone they don't use anymore, it's huge and is rewarding more than most of the time what they see on everyday basis. So it is everyday things they already do, adding on other things, but also expand your thinking. We live in a global village now. Many of your high school students, when they walk to college, their roommate is most likely not to be a person from the United States. They begin the conversations now, they expand their knowledge, they will already be aware of what the world looks like and what's happening when they go to college. And then if they graduate college in a small college where they didn't see that, the job they get, they are going to be working with people from all over the world. And the earlier we prepare them, the better. Those are the few that come to mind right now.
Thank you, Jackson. Even something as simple like identifying what the kids like to do and playing off of that. Like sometimes it's all they need to really get started and really kind of like spark this sense of, social entrepreneurship within them that they didn't even know that they had.
Exactly. Talk about the pets they have in the home. Like a conversation doesn't have to be, "How was school today? What do you like at school?" Like parents always ask them. Like, I have a pet at home. Their name is Charlie. "Oh, the kid from Yaka is going to go, really? You mean a dog has a name?" "Yes." "Why?" That's a good conversation back and forth that
Mhm.
understands the dynamics here, that a pet lives in the house, their pet lives outside.
Mhm.
Who knew?
Yeah,
Who
it
knew?
is.
A child recently told me and wrote a poem about how it is disgusting to have a toilet in the house.
We were doing so well.
Outside and the toilet is outside. Yes. So those are all good things that our kids can learn about each other and exchange more. And improving writing. Many
Mhm.
of the students, you know the struggle of getting a child to write 2 pages. But once they start talking about themselves, they can write 3 pages without even realizing.
Mhm.
Nobody's going to grade it, and they are writing to a friend who's going to appreciate and write back.
Mhm.
And those who can't do, we can seriously facilitate an exchange, whether it is WhatsApp video or Google Meet, and get to talk to each other.
Mhm. Absolutely. Any other final questions for Jackson?
I just want to say thanks, Kathy, for coming on.
Yeah, I saw that she jumped on. Hey, Kathy. Great. Well, we really appreciate, you sharing your story, Jackson. I've heard it multiple times and never get tired of hearing it. And, really seeing the impact that Nyaka has on the community is so inspiring. And, you know, it continued every time we talk, there's more and more that's going on. And we are so proud to be a part of that and to have our students learn about, you know, this area of the world and how they can help contribute to the education and business ventures of people that they've yet to meet. So thank you so much, Jackson, for sharing your experiences and all about NYACA and the programs with us. And, you know, we continue to very much value our partnership with NYACA.
I just want to close by
Thank you.
saying, if I was a middle school student, if I was a high school student, I wish I could go back to a time where I could hear you speak and be
Mhm.
engaged with your program. Unfortunately, I'm 92 years old, and no, but I would have liked to have, you know, gone back in time, sit in a room, hear you speak, be involved with what you do.
Thank you, Garrett. If I was in middle school, if I could go back, I would be part of the team.
Me too.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We will share the recording for those who were not able to be here. And we look forward to seeing you again soon, Jackson.
Wonderful. And if you have other questions after you leave the call, Kathy, who came in a little bit later, please show to them. Taylor has my information. It's all
Mhm.
public. My cell phone is so public. It's published in my book.
It's
So
I thought I was special for having your number.
it is published. It's open book. I didn't intend it to be that way when it happened, and I still have the same cell phone. So feel free to use it. Text me, WhatsApp me, email me. I'm always available to answer questions. And come to Uganda.
Yes. We're excited for that, Jackson.
Wonderful.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank you. Thank you.
Jackson. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for organizing it.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for joining us, Jackson. It's awesome.
Thank you. Bye.